everyone, Sara Belmonte here with Moms Out Marketing and Design Remodel Pros, bringing you another behind the scenes with a Preneur. But it is May, and we are doing a mom and daughter, mom and son different duos this month. So I can't wait to share more with you about these local businesses that are changing lives, making a difference, not just in other people's lives, but also in their families and building a true legacy. It's been a beautiful journey getting to know these two. So we have today Zara and Irum Jones, who are going to be joining us. But before that, I want to know what it is about the entrepreneurial journey that is just so unique. You know, I think we each have such a story to tell, but unless we ask the right questions, are we going to get those answers? And that's what this show is all about. Getting those questions, those answers to help you with tips, success, ways to find that success, and just the journey, because I'm telling you, it's not an easy journey, and we totally get that. But we want to give you the support and give you the resources to help you, your business, and the legacy you can't wait to start building. All right. This is Behind the Scenes with a Preneur. Our guests are Zara and Irum Jones. I'll be welcoming them in just a second. All right, ladies, welcome.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have a mother and daughter duo of preneurs. This is really exciting for us. I mean, I know so much about you, but I would love for you to just take a moment, and I'll let Irum start first, and she has seniority, right? Mama seniority. If you can just share who you are and what you do with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. And hi, everyone. My name is Irum Jones. And well, I'm one of the owners of Electrician on Call. My role is the Chief Operating Officer. It's my job to make sure that our customers are happy and everyone knows exactly what's going on. I'm also an electrician by trade as well. And so I do a lot of things here, and I help with the outreach of the community. So that's just one of the many hats that I do and I wear. And so I'm just so happy to be here. So Zara, tell us a little bit about you. I'm just gonna turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Zara Jones, and I am a full-time student. I am a senior in high school, and I will be graduating in June. A little bit about me is that I am a lifestyle and curly hair blogger. My blog is called Zest of Life with Zara, and I talk about all things positivity, curly hair, and I also push out brands that are cruelty-free and sustainable as well. I'm also an author too, and I write books. I have 6 books. They're all based on self-care and self-help books targeted towards teens and tweens.
Oh my goodness. And you haven't even graduated.
No.
Please, let's give her some congratulations already. So if you are joining us on Facebook or YouTube Live, 1, please subscribe to this channel so we can help more entrepreneurs get known. And 2, give some love to these two. Wow. I mean, I'm just so impressed. Like, I want to start a book and I'm not even there. And how many did you say you've written?
I've written 6.
Amazing.
The pandemic started since last year.
Well, talk about utilizing, you know, the pandemic to learn and to grow from it. Wow. So we're definitely going to be talking about the challenges we faced, you know, through just this journey. I mean, especially in the last year. You know, so as we talk about behind the scenes, I wanted to kind of start with Irum because, you know, I feel like, well, and you tell me, Sara, did you feel like you really stepped in the footsteps behind your mom, or was this just like you just kind of already had this ingrained in you regardless? What do you think?
I think it's kind of both. I definitely always wanted to be a leader, and I always wanted to, you know, have a business of my own. But, you know, with my mom also showing me her footsteps, I was like, well, she's a leader. She does a lot of these things in the community and in the business. So I wanted to be a lot like her. And that's why I decided to follow in her footsteps.
Oh, thank you.
I hope my daughter says that about me. They're beautiful. Well, Irum, how did you start your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, and with mine, I was in corporate America for so long, and while I was in corporate America, we had our family business, and so my 9 to 5 would be working, for another company, and then I'd come home, and I was dedicated to Electrician on call, and so throughout the years, that's just what my schedule was. So I was always doing a lot more, utilizing my time, and I was a construction, project manager or emergency project manager. So I knew how to manage my time very well. And so I think that everyone grew up in a household of strict time management and not doing everything on the same day, but using our time very wisely in a way that it's productive and we feel good about it. And I think that has just continued to happen. And we also follow this practice where we only do things that we absolutely believe in and we love doing. And so our energy is always applied in areas that we just feel really passionate about. And so we've just continued to do that. So fast forward, 20 years old, she's 18 now. But we have a marketing company, Noxx Media Group. We have On-Call Service Pros, which is a small business incubator for companies that are in the construction home services network. And then there's a lot of nonprofit and community activities and projects that we're involved in as well. And so, that just occupies our time. And our flagship business is Electrician on Call, which is electrical and HVAC. So just being in that space and finding areas to just tune in and apply all of the different talents and skills that you just pick up along the way. We just like to use them and reinforce them and put them in spaces where it just improves the situation. And so that's what I get to do. It's problem solving every single day. It's inventing new solutions. So it's always really fresh and fun. And even when it's challenging, right? It's a fun learning process. So that's what I've been doing and continuing to do. So I think that's how it all started.
Yes. So as a child, did you think you'd, own all these businesses? Did you?
No, not at all. I don't even think I'm a first generation American, right? Because I wasn't born here. I immigrated over here. And so my mom was a teacher and I thought that was the only occupation to do. You were either a teacher or a nurse. We didn't have a lot of options. Definitely didn't have the technology. So I just thought that I was just going to be what my mom was, a teacher, and that's it. But later on in life, I was like, oh, I can be an educator because I like to share what I learn. And it's okay for me to step into that role. So, we created a program called Tools Technology Trailblazers, which you've been part of as well, where we go into communities and we teach kids about all of the different hidden occupations, but also the safety around just construction, home services, and just the opportunities that those type of occupations bring. And it's been a wonderful journey to do that as an educator, right? So I think I got to do a little bit of what I thought I was going to do, but I never thought I was going to own my own business. That was just something that wasn't really what I guess little girls grow up to be in the younger days and the older days.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I love how you talk about education. I think it's so much a piece of also being a gal in construction, that I find is so important to inform, to educate our clients, to educate other people, to really empower them. And I think that's why you and I have had such a great connection, Irum, because we truly believe in just how can we serve others. And we know that I've definitely seen your gift as, in educating and empowering women. So thank you for all you've done. I know you do quite a bit of service as well as Sara with you. Yeah. So awesome. Well, thanks so much. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, Sara?
Yes. So as a kid, I always wanted to, of course, every little kid wants to do something with animals or something in the design, and that's always what I wanted to do. But then as I got older and seeing my parents, especially my mom, very invested in what she did, what she always did, she did with a smile on her face. And I always wanted to feel like I wanted to do something that I was very happy and passionate about doing, something I was able to wake up in the morning and be happy that I get to spend, my whole day doing that. And with that, I decided to become the blogger. And that blogger piece, I always wanted to do writing. I've always been involved in writing and things that had to do with creativity. I also get that from my mom as well. So she has been a really great leader in showing me, the paths that I should go, the things that I should look out for. But definitely as a child, I always saw myself as wanting to become a leader in anything that I did.
Oh my God, y'all are just so precious. It's just the whole thing, I mean, my daughter is much younger than you, so this is just very uplifting to be able to have y'all on today and to share this and to see, I think sometimes we're in the midst of mompreneuring and in the midst of just building the business and going through. It can be hard to know, am I working too hard? Am I pushing too hard? Did you ever find those challenges, Irum?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. And I think that was one of the reasons that made me step away from corporate America. Like when I was like, I think it's time for me to step away, is that I felt like I didn't have a work-life balance when I worked for someone else, right? But when I decided to be all in and spend all of my time working on the family business or something that was here, I was able to take my kids along the ride with me, right? I have two. And so they've been by my side with volunteering. They've been by my side, in boardrooms, and it was no apologies whatsoever. You just knew my kids were my shadows and they're coming with me. So I didn't compromise that. And sometimes I wasn't allowed in those spaces because I was bringing my children, but my children have always been around, heavy meetings, heavy topics. I never treated them like you guys were too little, right? Like you guys wouldn't understand. And so she was like in kindergarten, sitting like in the corner of a boardroom and coloring, but she was able to hear certain things where she was involved in it. And so I felt like bringing her in early enough and showing her that although a lot of times it's hard work that we do, hard decisions that we make, I felt like I owed it to her to always tell her what I was thinking behind the scenes. So if she wanted to follow that path, she wasn't distracted or it wasn't new to her, it was familiar to her. And so that's what I did throughout the whole time. And so I think that it worked out pretty well. And so I don't allow anything to be in my space that takes me away from my family, because this is why we do everything, right? For our kids. And so that was the focus.
Oh, and it's so in line with, Moms Out Marketing's mission. And so I'm so glad you're a member. Congratulations on just being part of this mom journey. I'd like to hear, if it's okay, Zara's, take on that. How did you feel being in the boardroom, hearing these things, going along with it? And I'm sure you were around, like my daughter, many more adults than maybe children at times. How was your experience with that?
It was definitely intimidating to be the youngest person in a group, in a room of adults. And even though I may not always have put my input and my, decision into things, it was still kind of scary to be around a whole bunch of adults and hearing all these, big words that I just didn't understand at the time. But being able to see them, and I always looked up to them because, teamwork was a very big thing in there. It was something that, I learned to I gained skills actually sitting there and listening to their conversations, listening how they talk to each other, listening to just the way that they communicate with each other, whether or not, they didn't agree on certain things. And so I think that was very important to me. It was very important to sit in those. And I think that, I wouldn't have followed in my mom's footsteps if I didn't see that, because it is definitely something that can be challenging if you don't know how to approach it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I know sometimes, and this has just been my experience. My daughter as well has gone to some conferences. And Irum, you shared that sometimes you weren't allowed into some spaces. Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So, like the flexibility of just bringing the kids along, like the environment wasn't set up and welcome for that. And so that has happened where sometimes like the meetings would go on for like 4 to 6 hours. It's a closed door session, we're voting, or there's heavy things. I mean, we talked about everything from employee retention to bonds to just really heavy topics. And these aren't your 1 hour, 2 hour meetings. And so when lunch is being catered in, I'm like, hey, I got to make sure I got snacks for the kids. I got to check in on them. What I can't do is sit in a closed room for 6 hours and pawn my kids off to technology. And so there are certain standards like that. And so I would always ask if we had that inclusive environment. That was like 10 plus years ago. And sometimes people would go, no, we're not going to accommodate that environment. And I would have to step away, or I would have to work double time to just catch up with where we were at. And it was a very uncomfortable feeling, because a lot of times I was the only woman in the room. Sometimes I was the youngest woman in the room. And I had to apologize for being a mom. I had to apologize for having kids, you know? And right now, like one of the things I tell Sara is what we're doing, like as moms and mompreneurs, is we're building inclusive spaces. She should never have the issues that I've had to deal with. And if, you know, like people flat out saying, if you're not, but I was a voting member, like that's crazy. You won't ever hear anything like that again in her generation. So it's very important that like I had those transparent conversations, but I've had it in a way where I was like, look, it's not your fault. This will change eventually, right? And we're seeing that change now. So
absolutely. Yes, I mean, talk about trailblazers. I know y'all talk about you being trailblazers and just setting the scenes. I mean, that's how we've done with Moms Out Marketing. We are changing the way moms network. And I do hope that we are seeing a more inclusive environment where we realize that we are going into business. We are doing, you know, even having our careers to support our families. But if we can't see them, are we truly supporting them? You know, I mean, you have to have some kind of real balance. And I think with technology, it can be used properly, you know, in the workplace. And I think that's what we're finding, you know, with these Zoom calls and some of the conveniences, but also there's the struggle of how do you shut it down? You know, have y'all seen that now with all the technology, especially you, Sara? I mean, how has technology affected your business?
So technology, because you know, I do write a lot and it's all online based. It has definitely helped me a lot. But there are still some things that I face and those challenges would be most likely that, you know, kids younger than me, because I do cater to, you know, tweens and teenagers. You know, you have teenagers who are mostly focused on, you know, social media, and then you have tweens and, you know, kids who are on social media most of the time, and then you have, you know, kids that aren't really on social media. So it's hard to really cater to the people that I want to focus on, because there's a lot of challenges and a lot of things that can get in the way of them, you know, either maybe going towards my books or seeing what I have to post. And although it is based on positive things, you know, there's still different, they do focus more on the celebrities and the influencers. And I do have a lot of competition in that area. So that's one really huge challenge that I do face.
Yes, and I'm glad you shared that, because I think even, and since we're talking about the mother and daughter duo, you know, I have issues with a lot of the social media and the YouTube influencers that my daughter may not even like she's going to sit in front of it and watch it, or she, if she hides it, right? but just even on a commercial, and even some of the stuff on even like Netflix, where there is a little bit of that conflict. But I'll tell you the one I absolutely love, which is so, I guess, to me, it's childlike, and I know that our daughters are very different in age, but it's called Izzy's Koalas,
Okay.
and it shows this girl who's just so raw and just everyday life. She's in her she's just barefoot and she's running through, and she's with her mom who's a veterinarian, so she's learning the ropes of like entrepreneurship. But I'll tell you that I'm sure that people like moms like me are going to resonate with what you're putting out there, just the wholesomeness. So all it means is just got to steer your audience, to the heart, to your heart. So keep sharing your heart, because you have won some major awards lately too, right? Can you share that with us?
So I won the Gold Award, and then the Congress Award for my Gold Award, the Plano African American Museum, and the Presidential Award for all of the volunteering that I have done. And what else?
There's been a few.
There's been a few. Those are the ones that I can remember.
And your books. And so when you have your heart, and I know your mom has taught you all this, but when you have your heart in that, you will find the audience that resonates with your heart. And you know what? They are going to be so true to you, and they're going to start sharing it. So just be true to yourself and keep going, because what you're doing is absolutely it is just absolutely amazing. So don't stop, and don't worry about being where someone else is. Your chapter 1 is not someone else's chapter 20. You were young, you were on fire, and you got this. Yeah, keep going. Well, I was wondering, are there some challenges that, I know you've shared a few, but are there any major life challenges that happened to make you be the person you are today? And that's for both of you, ladies.
You want me to go first? Okay, sure. Well, I came from very humble beginnings. I spent my teenage years, in foster care, and I've been very transparent with my kids about, what I did at their age. And especially with Zara, I was in my household when I was 15. And so I had to really navigate life through on my own. And so I was very, very open with the challenges that I've gone through, having to really go through a survival mode, and talking to Zara about some of those issues and just supporting her. And so I think that that's really shaped me, because for so long I was in survival mode, and that was the only way that I was able to think. And then once I was able to kind of stabilize as an adult, I never had the chance to shake that survival mode off, if that makes sense. And so I've always kind of viewed life with those lenses, and they've never come off. And so I think that has a lot to do with multitasking and taking everything very seriously that's on my plate, almost to the point where it's like, is someone going to pass away? Like if I don't do this, like whose household is going to be impacted? And so a lot of those heavy topics pass through my desk, and I make time for that. And I'm still energized enough to talk about it and explain to everyone the decision that should be made and why we do certain things in the way that we do them. So I think that stems a lot from my role in it. Zara, you can go next.
So the main reason why I got into writing was because a few years ago I got into an accident, and it was my freshman year of high school, so it was definitely very difficult. I did miss a lot of school. I missed out on a lot of school life and social life, especially getting into high school, my first year of high school, it was really hard for me to cope with everything that I went through and having to stay home because, it was my first year of high school. It was supposed to be like the best years of my life. And I didn't get to experience that. And I was also active in basketball. So basketball and sports is a lot, really.
In our household.
Yeah, it's a big thing in our household. And I just felt like I was going to disappoint everyone if I wasn't able to get back to, my normal at the time. And eventually I did end up quitting, but because of all my injuries and everything, I wasn't able to get back to where I was before. And so with all that writing, I decided that I was going to create my blog, Zest of Life with Sara, based off on positivity, partnering with brands, and curly hair. And then later on, I did publish 6 books. I have these 3 books here. They're all based off of, affirmations, self-care, positive vibe stuff, because those are the things that did help me get through and get to where I am today.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I'm gonna put this up. Like, how did you keep motivated on those hard days? You said some of the books were written for what you experienced, but there had to be something, like one thing that really got you onto the positive path. Because we all have these really low points, and it sounds like that's something you were experiencing.
Yeah.
How'd you get out? And who are your biggest advocates?
So I wrote this book, the Her Affirmations book, based off of all the affirmations that I would wake up in the morning and do every single day. I do these every single day, and I still do. I reread the book over and over again. That's kind of how it looks on the inside. And these affirmations really did help me. It helped motivate me, helped me put in my mind that I am good enough. My situation makes me better. And these are the things that really did help me, stay, positive through everything that I went through, no matter if the challenges were school-based, business-wise, anything like that. I would always, look to this book to help me out and just keep it in my mind that my situations make me better, my challenges make me better, and that's what's going to get me to where I need to be.
Thanks for sharing that. Is there one affirmation in particular that you kind of lean towards more?
Yes. So
do you mind sharing?
Let me find it. So for this one, it says, I have forgiven and set myself free. And then the quote is, forgive yourself for what you think you've done or not done. At every moment, you have had your reasons for all of your actions and decisions. You've always done the best you could do. Forgive yourself.
I like that. Thank you for sharing. How was it for you, Irum, seeing her through this process? I'm sure as a mom, this was hard, that because this was something she looked forward to, and the basketball, high school. So yeah, how did you experience this with her?
This was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I was helpless, right? So she was physically injured, her spirit was broken, and we had to give her space, but we had to support her in it. And we really had to put things like systems in our place in our home so we wouldn't make her feel bad or anything, so we had to, that was her support system. And I gave her a journal, and I remember just telling her, I said, and that was way before she even knew how to really write. And I said, like, your grandfather wrote, your great grandfather wrote, I wrote so many proposals, so, you in you. And I said, here's some notepads, here's some note paper, just put your thoughts out there, like declutter your mind and start there first and see where it leads you. Of course, I gave, her a, children's version of a Bible too, and, just things that could support her and checked in on her. But I definitely gave her space. And that was as much as I can do as a mom, because it was so hard. I couldn't just fix it. And I couldn't take her pain and put it in me. And so a lot of people go, well, but you were in foster care. Wasn't that the hardest? And I'm like, no, it wasn't, because I had to deal with that. It's different when it's your child dealing with it. And you're seeing them go through this on their own, and the resources are there, but it's just not clicking. And you just can't have, people show up at your home. And because what would happen then is people would visit, and then when they would leave, it would go back to like the same isolated conditions, right? And so there was a lot of open praying that we did for her. There was just a lot of space, and we just did everything with love, without any criticism, without any ridicule. There was a fine balance in helping her realize that she had a lot more strength in her, because when someone's broken or like at rock bottom, they don't think that they have anything left in them to get back up. And so we were able to really pour into that and just redo our lives right around it. And so now we can actually sit down. We've healed through the process, the mental pieces of it, the physical pieces and other things, they're still there, they're still lingering, but we can actually sit down as a family and watch a game without her feeling like triggered, right? Like she could have, should have, would have kind of situation, and we're all at peace with it. So we've definitely come a long way, and the writing, I feel like, was the transformational piece in it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, Sara, so when did the accident happen? Like what age?
It happened when I was 15.
I think so. That's a sophomore. Okay. Yeah, freshman.
Freshman, yeah. It's because okay. Yes. And how old are you now?
18.
So still very, to me, that's very recent. That's to come to the point you're at right now in really a short amount of time. That's very impressive, Yes, and the fact that you're wanting to share it with others, I think it makes it even more powerful to be able to uplift others. Wow. So I want to also ask, what are some, oops, wrong one. So I know that you talked about the things you do to keep yourself kind of motivated and everything, but there's also, what are the things that you like, other practices that maybe you do by yourself or together? If you can just kind of enumerate them. And I know we talked about your affirmations, but let's say there's someone who's really at the point where they can't even think of an affirmation. Is this when, we need a friend to come in and order your book for them? What steps would you give someone who really just is at that kind of breaking point and can't get out of it? Because I think that's where sometimes it's so hard to reach. And I mean, from hearing what Irum was saying, that's what was so hard as a mom, getting in there and knowing, okay, how much do I support? Mm-hmm. Was it the space that helped too? I mean, because we need this information too as moms. So tell us what we should do when our child is going through something so traumatic. Mm-hmm. I know I just asked you a lot of questions at once, so you take what you'd like.
So since I am a writer and I did write the 6 books, there is the 50-day self-care book. That is another book that did help me a lot. It focuses on practicing self-care, making sure that you drink enough water or you have enough meditation, and just, writing things that you are thankful for, just to remember some of these things that keep you going. I, based off all of these pages, these are things that I ask myself every single day. I do use my Sundays as self-care days, just taking that time to myself, kind of getting ready for Monday, getting ready to just, building myself up for the week. The affirmation book I do recommend for anyone who just doesn't know what they want to focus on, because I do have, the general affirmations book, and then I do have student affirmation books, books based off of self-love. And those are the things that are really important, especially as a high school student. And then I also have Perfectly Imperfect, which is a self-esteem workbook. That workbook is just being able to love yourself inside and out, recognizing that you do not have to change your looks. You don't have to, be involved in things that you don't want to be involved in. Peer pressure is a really big thing too. And I wrote this book based off of everything that I had experienced from middle school and to high school. And those are the books that really did help me a lot. And these are the things that I feel that every kid, goes through. And there's also affirmations included in these too.
Okay. I don't know if, some people are just listening, some people are watching, but Irum was opening up the book. And do you mind just sharing a few of the self-care tips? Because those were really good. And I want to make sure everybody's not just seeing it, but hearing it too, because I think part of the journey when you're doing affirmations is that say it out loud, hear it. Do y'all mind sharing a few?
Absolutely. Yes. So there is a couple of pages, like what do you want in life? And what is a life lesson you recently learned? There's some to-do list. What do you like to do on your free time? And what are your values? And then there's a my self-care circle, which is you create a pie chart based off of the self-care activities you do. That could be, meditation, yoga, maybe taking a power nap, baking, things like that. Those are my things that I usually do for my self-care day. And then for the affirmations book, there are the affirmations and then the quotes. These quotes are by, either celebrities, artists, singers, actors, or maybe even people that are very big in business too. You don't have to be considered a celebrity just because you're a singer or an actor or anything. And I think those are really important too.
And we do these together. And so the fun part about it is when she writes, then she gets to show me. And when I saw these, I cried for every one of these. I
want to cry. So beautiful.
And sometimes I'm like, just pick out one for me. And Perfectly Imperfect, all of these came from her mind, her head. I think one of the things that we start off with, first day in the morning, is we start off with prayer and faith and stuff. And then that sets the tone of just that reminder of giving ourselves grace and what we need to do and forgiving ourselves when we fall short of our goals. But I'm just so proud of her for this, because although she's these are for teens, I'm I think they're for me too.
I know. Well, so, okay. One, I feel like whoever's watching, if you have a teen, tween, I really feel like this can be a beautiful gift for libraries, or just schools, even school counselors. Those may be great introductions or synergy partners for you, Sara. So I think that there's a lot of potential with it. When I read them, I'm like, I need this. I need this. Because if you watch a lot of our Instagram stories, like the Insta stories, I try and talk a lot about self-care, and it is not because I'm in any way an expert, and I always say that, but it is because I need to have more awareness of it. And I know Irum and I work on that, even just on our walks, right? Just by doing a walk together. And I like that you can do this journey of the affirmations or the self-care. Can I see the 50 days to self-care? Yes, that self-care book. So one, you can do them on your own, or you could do them as a family, which I think is beautiful. You know, do it at the breakfast table, bring it out, and it just starts a different conversation. You know, and we need to get deeper conversations with our families. So this is a great start. Now, where would we find your books?
So you can find them on Amazon, Zara Jones, and there's going to be 6 books there. The other 2 books are different versions of her affirmations. There's a self-love one, and there is a student one that I recently just worked on.
Okay. And tell me about the student one and how it would differ and what type of age demographic it would be.
So for the student one, that can be from like, you know, you're just starting middle school all the way up to graduating, you know, medical school. These are affirmations that I felt like as a student I would want to hear, not only to myself, but I would want to encourage my peers to read them too, because these are things that we face as, you know, students. And I feel that, you know, if every student had access to affirmations, or just really putting it out there that, you know, today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to finish all my missing assignments. I think that, you know, that really helps us stay positive and keep our head in the games to the goals that we need to do for either that day or that week.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to share some of the comments that were made, and then also I want to just make sure you put a link. You know, right here we have Zara M. Jones, where she'll have all the links to her books, but like she said, go connect with her. I think these would be great graduation gifts too for someone going into middle school, confirmation gifts. So really think about who you can connect with and, you know, give some inspiration to anybody online. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. So Michelle says, hi, beautiful ladies. We also have Dawn who's on. She said, oh, I need you to get you in touch with my curly haired daughter, which y'all will have a phenomenal time. I really think we need to do some mentorship with the you know, teens in our mompreneur group, because we have some rock stars out there. So if y'all can make it on Friday, I think it'll be fun. Because Friday we have a mom social, and if you ever want to join in on our networking calls, please do, as long as it doesn't conflict with school. You have to have mom's approval, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, she wanted to know, Zara, do you have an Insta connected to your blog?
Yes, I do. My Instagram, it's going to be most likely on the top. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So those are going to be on the top, but it should be Zest of Life W Zara.
Okay, yes. So Zest of Life, W standing for the with Zara. Make sure you connect with her down there. And there's lots of inspiration on there. You know, I have really, I like the Zest for Life being your it's your slogan, you know, your tagline. And I love the colors and everything with the lemons. It's very refreshing. So great job. We have Michelle, Zara Jones, Irum Jones. Y'all are indeed powerhouses. Absolutely. Another one, she says, I love this stream. You are so inspiring.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Oh, look. So, okay. So, Michelle, thank you for putting this out. She said, so great. Self-care matters, holistic health, gratitude, affirmations. And she said, it's so important because now that we're in May, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we all, you know, we all need these mental health checks with ourselves, and it's about constantly checking, constantly doing the self-care, the affirmations every day. So if you need guidance, please go out there and find that book. Oh, and then she did hashtags Mother's Day gift ideas.
And you know what, Michelle, you're so right. And you know, Sara and I, we do these like together, and I feel like it connects us because like we also talk about like what the quote means or why I feel like mine's a little different from hers, and that way like I'm understanding where she's coming from. I mean, we've never had any crazy teenage years kind of things, right? Because we've always had some really great clear communications on it. So they are wonderful books. So if you're looking to connect with your teenager as well, I think that this is a great way to start. I mean, her affirmations, I cried so much when I read that book page by page, because I couldn't even believe how she paired up certain things, certain affirmations with quotes, and they just meant so much. In the way that she coupled them together. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is really, how do you feel that y'all's entrepreneurial journey has intertwined and how it has strengthened y'all's relationship?
You want me to go first? Okay, all right. I think that it's because she's always been there. I've never treated you like you were too little to understand. Even when other moms were like, "Don't," she probably wants to go and play somewhere else or something. And I was like, "No, I think this is important. I think she needs to know." And you've always been so kind and flexible. And I think that went a long way, that really helped you kind of exercise your patience muscles. And so she's much more patient than I am, and much more creative, because she's gotten introduced to things so early. And so her feedback is really taken from a point of view of feedback that I would take in and that I would accept. We've never treated you like a child to say and to dismiss you, right? You always felt like you had a voice. So I think that was one of the big key elements of how your feedback just intertwined with everything that we were doing. We were always like, "Well, what do you think, Zara?" So she would just tell us. What about you?
I always felt like I was always included in what you did. Mm-hmm. So it was much more easier for me to understand what you were showing me, because you've been showing me for so many years what you do, mm-hmm. especially on the creative side, and being able to, give criticism in a way of it's going to help you, mm-hmm. instead of giving you criticism that's kind of tearing you down. And mm-hmm. I think that's one of the really important things that I learned from her, mm-hmm. from you, is that, being able to talk to people, how to talk to people, and learning how to share your opinions with others and how important it is. And just being a good leader doesn't mean listening, doesn't mean to, just give your opinion all the time. It means to listen and to let everyone say their opinions first, and then you kind of gather it and implement everyone's ideas in a way that everyone feels like they're appreciated.
Right.
Yes, well said, ladies. Well, would you like to tell our audience anything else? Any closing words?
You want to go? Okay. Well, mine would be to the moms out there that, if you're juggling a lot of things, remember to bring your kids along with it. If it doesn't bring you happiness in what you're doing and you're not passionate about it, your kids are going to really look at that energy. And remember to give your family and your kids the best energy and the best part of yourself. Don't forget that they are the most important people in your lives. And so always make time for them and for yourself, and don't apologize for that to anyone. They come first, for sure.
I would say to the teens and the kids that don't be afraid to be the youngest person in the room or the only girl in the room, because it is very important to show people that you are not afraid to step in and to step up. And, people look up to you. There is even adults that, tell me every day, "Wow, this is amazing what you're doing." I never would have thought that, a kid my age would do something as much as I did. And it's great to hear that, because it feels that I'm actually doing something to, to help give an image that there are teenagers who are very hardworking, and that the stereotypes that teens now are given, especially for my generation, it's, you know, all about social media at this point, and it's really not. There are still a lot of people out there who are very dedicated and driven workers. So I think it's very important to play up to your potential and what you want to do.
Hmm.
I love it. Oh, ladies, thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's a true honor. I know we're going to get to hear a little bit more about your business piece this Wednesday at our networking group. So we'll see you at 9:30. If anybody's interested, definitely you can see where to connect with us and grab your tickets, both on Facebook or Instagram. You can also become a mom member at momsoutmarketing.com. Well, thank you so much. All your links are going to be in the comments, but feel free to do little teasers of some of your affirmations, because, hey, we all need affirmations these days.
Well,
Thank
you. Thanks so much for having us on here.
All right. We'll see you really soon. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was our behind the scenes with Preneurs, and we have a series going on all May. We will be sharing mother-daughter or mother-son preneurial journeys. So we're excited to share that with you. My name is Sara Belmonte with Moms Out Marketing and Design Remodel Pros. I am here to help you through your mompreneur journey. We share business tips, as well as just Insta mom life, helping you enjoy every part of the journey. I will see you really soon. Don't forget about our networking meetings. That's twice a month, every first and third Wednesday. And you can always become a mom member if you want more, and mentorship included. That's at www.momsoutmarketing.com. We'll see you later. Keep enjoying the mom journey.